All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have a lot to go over, and I have a fresh tweet, which I'm actually going to be pulling up right now, and that is going to show you the new replica of the ship in China that they're practicing on to take out the Gerald R. Ford. Now, we actually knew that they were doing this with other ships, but now they have brand new ships and brand new replicas. So let me show you this right here. And again, we're going to go over that here 2 seconds. So let's see. And it is right here. So check this out. This is the Gerald R. Ford replica that is in the desert. So China is actually practicing taking out our carriers. Now, we've known this before because they have other replicas. Not only that, they have replicas of not only other ships, amphibious ships, but they also have other replicas of places. They have replicas that they are practicing on with port-busting torpedoes that look a whole lot like a San Francisco port or the LA port. And then, of course, they have a full-on replica of the Taiwanese capital. So are they preparing something? Again, it looks like they are. So we're going to talk about that and much, much more on today's episode of Marfoogle TV. We have a lot to go over. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
You would think that we played the same line, but we ain't nothing, we ain't mine. On the bottom of their shoe, they will wipe us off too. You would think that we played the same line, but we ain't nothing, we ain't.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We got a lot to go over. So today we have a ton. So remember, you can always go over to marfooglenews.com and you can find a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we're going to be covering today. In fact, if you go there, you will just have to look for today's thumbnail, click on that, and you'll find every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we have here today, plus a whole lot more. At the very end, of course, we'll talk about some other stuff, so make sure to stick around for that. Today, we are going to be talking about a North Korea update. We're going to be talking about the 10-foot aliens or the Miami Mall incident and an update to that. We're going to talk about the secret UFO meeting that is going down. We're going to talk about the Epstein fallout. We're going to talk about meet the new Catholic celebrity, the 6,500 mile per hour sled, the 15,000 migrants incoming, ultimate wedgie justice, and I'm not kidding you, and of course, ancient atomic bombs. The FEMA infrastructure insider warning. We actually got information from a Foogle fam member and somebody who works in infrastructure. We have a message from that is it's something that is going along exactly with what other military and members that are working in this sector, of course, and then robot constitution and Ken Rod and Amber Ray's music video at the very end. Foogle fam that have been watching for years. They are a great, great couple. So stick around. That's going to be at the very end at the shoutro. So lots and lots to go over. And of course, so little time. So let's get into it. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So back to the ship. We've seen other ships like this, and It's hard to date images like this, but as far as the other image is from a satellite image, if they are practicing trying to take out our ships, that's probably not a good thing. They even have the control tower here it represented in this, so I'm assuming that they would try to take that out first in a carrier. As far as this is a life-size replica in the desert, which they have their jets practicing on. But yet people are still not kind of on board with China, going to war with the U.S. Dex, what did you think when you saw this?
It's not just the replica of our ship, which we know they're probably using for practice runs and drills and targeting and things like that. We've also seen that they have replicas of their own, where they lay out some of their futuristic or unreleased ships on aircraft on. We've seen those be reported in the past, where it looks like one of their new planes. It looks very similar to, say, like our stealthy crafts that we've got, because obviously they copy a lot of our information because we give it to them, or they take it. Somebody gladly hands it over. But yeah, this stuff it's very common there. They spend a lot on doing this. I'm sure we do too, but this stuff's easily seen from satellite images, and they pick it up. And something like this, it's almost a identical replica to the Ford. So kind of a crazy sight there for sure, given the fact that the Ford's headed back in and probably going to be shipping out soon. I wonder where it's headed.
And Kim Jong-un visits the missile launcher factory, warns of military showdown. So yesterday we covered over on news, there was kind of breaking news, and everybody was definitely on edge last night because there was news initially of 200 artillery shots fired close to Yonpyang Island, and I believe that's how it's pronounced. They actually took Yonpyang, and they ended up evacuating certain places, at least 2 different places. We believe 3 at least, or 2 at least, possibly 3 were evacuated. That is because they said that they would actually fire on those places if they by South Korea did the live fire drills. Well, apparently they're going to, of course, continue with everything that they were planning. So they ended up evacuating people. They said that was the true reason for it. Now, we're never going to get a straight answer on like what is coming through in world news. We all have to look at the MSM through the filter of the 6 or 7 companies and the families that are above them that filter our news down through. So we really kind of have to look at things, judge it by how many people here are saying, this doesn't sound right, and kind of call BS on what we think is BS. But one thing I don't think is BS is that North Korea is most likely going to be used for some sort of escalation in the future. I already know how this is going to go, and this is just my own thought, and this is my prediction, that North Korea is going to randomly, I don't think it's random, but they are going to attack South Korea, or we will get the impression that they are going to attack, and that it is going to start a war between South and North Korea. It is only fitting right now. We already have Israel, Hamas, we have Ukraine and Russia, that North and South may even be before a China-Taiwan. I think that is going to be a big step towards a hot World War III. I'm trying to be a pessimist here, but that's what I think is going to go down. And also, if you look at what they have been talking about, they've been talking about a possible surprise event, just like October 7th. They're comparing it to what happened in Israel with North Korea. The setup has been going for months and months and months. I mean, you could say the long-term setup has been going for years. They are producing nuclear missiles there. They're doing all sorts of crazy stuff there. But, everybody's torn on if they are an actual threat or not. Meanwhile, the folks that we have talked to, the military we have talked to, they actually consider North Korea a bigger cyber threat to the United States and a bigger EMP threat than any other country, because our actual EMP task force has information. There's information that are at these meetings. The Peter Pry, who now has passed, before he passed, he sat in on some of those meetings, and some of the quotes from him talking about the stuff that he couldn't talk about was really, really kind of terrifying, as far as North Korea being the tool or the hammer that one of these other countries uses to take down the U.S. If North Korea attacks us, we can only attack back to North Korea. North Korea, we don't know what their mind state is. We don't know if Kim believes he's going to have a country in 5 years, especially with all of these drills and things. He could really actually believe that they are going to take him out. We see the news. Of course, we are told that that's what he thinks because there was actually a news out of the KCNA, their own news, saying that they changed their actual rules to where if they believe that anyone in their government, in the North Korean government, is threatened, if they take anyone out or if they get even a whiff of somebody trying to take out Kim, that they will automatically fire nukes at the U.S. So if somebody drives their car into the wall and it's just some guy from North Korea and they feel like it was, trying to take out one of their guys, they're just going to be like, nuke the U.S. I get that that's probably unrealistic, but that's what they said that they changed their rules to. So if they feel like anything's going to go down, it feels to me like there's a setup happening here. There could be 3-letter agencies that are behind this. There could be other agencies from other nation state actors. Even some of our allies could be, tag teaming against us, but we don't know. But they do say that he toured a factory producing mobile launchers for intercontinental ballistic missiles. I thought back too with what they're talking about, these mobile launchers. They make launchers that can fit in cargo containers, and they've been working very closely with China, which is kind of king of the container. And then Dex, do you want to go over the Stryker Brigade goes out with a bang during live fire drills near North Korean border?
So just hot on the heels, or given the same time of what's happening with the island that we were talking about last night. And while I'm doing that, Adam, if you want to check screener, I got a note in there for you and a couple of breaking things that are happening. You can load them up. The Stryker Brigade from Fort Carson, Colorado, has finished a 7-month rotation of live fire drills in the range, and this is only 22 miles from the border of North Korea. So this group is one of the many groups that have been doing these drills. And in this particular case, they're using the Strykers. They're doing a lot of heavy fire, and it was happening right there near the border. Anytime, and by the way, we're doing that as a sign of force and strength and unity with South Korea against North Korea in response to all of the shenanigans that he's had going on. So this is, a continuation of that, or this is actually the end of this particular drill. And they're coming back and they were just talking about where they were and what they were doing. But it just reemphasizes how close our troops are, how close they are to that potential DMZ or combat zone where anything could pick up and kick off. And it's, on the verge at any moment at the way things are continue to amp up between the two countries.
And of course, and then we have rumors of the 10-foot aliens before we get into this. And we have a bunch of stuff. And by the way, if you are expecting us to say, oh yeah, we're for sure about the 10-foot aliens, that's not what's going to happen. After going over a lot of what people are saying, and mostly on Twitter, I just want to point out before we go over that story, every single time I go over stories like this that everybody is covering, people think, oh, if there's another creator out there that is, 100% saying, hey, there's 10-foot aliens and they're lying about this, that's totally fine. This is my opinion based on what I have seen, based on the Twitter videos, the actual footage of this. I'm not watching other YouTubers. We spend a lot of time making the show, putting everything together, the bibliographies. I don't have time to watch other creators. I'm not talking trash about other creators that may be totally behind this, and that's cool if they're behind this. I am not. I think it's a big distraction, and I'll tell you why here in a second. I'll also tell you why I believe that some of the videos are debunked, but I'm not debunking other creators. I'm debunking what I have seen shared by, I guess, a couple creators, but they're TikTok creators that, are not in our niche at all. But before we do that, I do want to remind you, with all of the talk of EMP, this is a real threat, and it's something that we have talked to many military members about. It is why we have highlighted EMP Shield for years. It is something that is a really simple fix, especially for your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats. This can actually protect your vehicle and ground the signal of not only all 3 phases of an EMP attack and multiple of them. It can also protect you against a solar event or a CME from the sun or a Carrington level event. So this is a very easy way to be able to get home to your family or to get out to bug out in your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, anything that runs with a motor, including gas generators, or even your solar generator in the case of the Energy Flex 1500. This is easily wired in. You could do red to red, black to black, and of course, green to ground on your battery in your car, and then bolt it to the side and you're done. In less than 10 minutes, you're protected, and you know that your car is going to run after multiple EMP strikes or a Carrington level event from the sun. We're also in solar cycle 25, so a lot of people are thinking about that as well. This is a prepper tool that you will not need until you need, and you will thank yourself that you got. When you go through us, not only are you going to get a huge $50 off discount per device, so if you're outfitting your home, your car, your truck, in any combination, or even your ham radio or your RV, then you're going to get $50 off per device, and you're going to help our channel. We're independent. We're on our own. We're held back in so many ways you can't count. So we do appreciate you guys going through us. This way you're getting something out of it. You're not just helping us. You're not just giving us support. You're actually getting something out of it at the same time as supporting independent media. So it's a really great way to protect yourself. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARF. And again, this will be the last affiliate for quite a while. So thank you guys for putting up with that, and thank you guys for supporting. So the rumors of the 10-foot alien, this has taken up a lot of space. And for those of you that are like, there is something going on, there may be stuff going on with aliens and, everything that's going on. I just think that this thing, there is a reason why there would be no cell phone footage. If they really did corral hundreds of people from leaving that mall, and they were able to put a net out, even though in the first few minutes tons of people could have left, which is the story behind a certain gentleman that did videos. Even if they did get out, right? Like this gentleman here. Let's see here. Let's see if we have this. Do we have the gentleman? I think we do. Yeah, this gentleman right here. So this gentleman says he is a witness. He is saying that he actually witnessed these events. If you hear him, I don't judge people. I don't, in the first 10 seconds, I wanted to go, he's full of it. By the end of it, I was thinking, yeah, if this did happen, yeah, maybe he would sound like that. But it was a lot of ums and haws and kind of figuring out what he was going to say next. Usually when you are in something, and I'm not a body language expert, it is looking for memory. I don't think he once looks back for memory like he's rethinking the whole event. He's just kind of going as he goes, and I think he didn't realize that everybody would latch onto this thing. I think he knew what he was doing, but my personal opinion is he was making this up. He a lot of folks agree with me that he was trolling. He talked about overweight lady. He's like, oh, I just saw a bunch of overweight ladies and old people running, and I knew it was on. And he uses way worse words than I do, but as far as that, he is the only witness. And he's saying that they, may have rounded up all the rest of the people. As far as this mall event, I don't believe that it was just two kids fighting with sticks. Even if they were going to overreact to something, there would have had to be a different story that the police had or that the dispatchers had. They may have been told or called saying that there's a T attack, and then had a second, third, fourth, fifth calling about something that was some sort of T attack, and then them responded that. Maybe they're trying to calm people down. Maybe that they are on such high alert that this is how they responded because of something that we don't know as civilians. Now, I've been told from at least 3 different states from people that are in law enforcement that said that they are on extremely high alert. From the information that we're going to show you here back from December from infrastructure worker in the Fugel fam, they are most definitely training people up in FEMA. They're training people in disaster preparedness for some sort of massive event. From the military members we've talked to that believe we are at a very high alert level, I could see them responding to something if they thought it was something different than what it actually was. So this gentleman that talks, and I'm not, again, you guys can be the judge for yourself.
Type of gunfight, these people running
and there's music in the background, so I'm going to let you guys watch that, but you can see kind of some of these screenshots. He's talking about essentially people running, and the reason why nobody had their phones out is because it was a fight or flight thing. I'm sorry, but I have seen people in the face of bullets flying by them pull out their cell phones. I have seen people in the worst scenarios. I've seen people while people are drowning right next to them pull out their damn cell phones. Everybody is holding their actual cell phones. It is as simple as tapping the power button twice on a phone to get that camera running. That is why we get camera angles on pretty much anything and everything. So I don't believe that. Now, the other excuse for that could be that the FBI and everybody else, and they did some sort of high-tech signal jammer. I don't really believe it. And again, I'm not talking trash about anybody else that said all this stuff. But I did want to show you. This is the response to this. And let me turn this on real quick so some fair usage here. So if you can see that the reaction was insane. I mean, it was so over the top for what the official narrative was with two kids fighting with the stick and possibly lighting off fireworks. It was absolutely nuts. Okay, this is supposedly two people. Now they're saying that there's 8 foot to 10 foot tall shadow aliens that were disappearing and reappearing closer to the people. Do you guys believe this? And I know there's some of you that at heart want to believe that there is something like this happening. And we're actually going to show you something that may confirm or deny that something actually was going on, right? Well, this was an image. Now, this image was a freeze shot from an actual slowed down video of the sky. Dex, can I actually get the second one? I accidentally closed it, but it's the backwards video. So we took it and we went frame by frame, and we actually found that they had reversed the video and they had made it blurrier. And what this was actually taken from, in my belief, is 3 police officers walking this way. They reversed the video, they made it blurrier, so the 3 police ended up making an image of this big thing. Mind you, this is like, the big thing compared to the EpiPen files that are coming out right now. That's why I think that this is a big distraction. Dex, go ahead.
It's in screener.
Okay, so if you look at this here, let's see. Yeah, so let's see here. Let's pull this up, and no, that's the breaking news, isn't it? I think I grabbed the breaking news. We'll get to that here in a second.
It should be right underneath it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. All right, so check this out. So right here, this is a clear video of what this is, much clearer than the original, right? So right here, if you can see my mouse hovering here, right here, there are multiple police walking. But what they did is they reversed that video, and they ended up essentially showing the shadows of it. They darkened it. They did the contrast. And what it ends up showing is this essentially a video of this big creature. And that's what people freeze framed. In my opinion, I think that it is the 3 police walking. And then here's something that people thought was really trippy. Now, this could be from a different time period, and we tried to find, obviously, to me, it looks like somebody launched a rocket, but this is another set of clips from supposedly the same day.
It looks like it's falling. What the heck is that?
See that? And I'm gonna turn off the volume here for a second. If you see, there's actually 2 different videos here. One, which I will go right here, you can see it has sort of a trail, and I'll zoom in so you can see this. There's sort of a trail, and this is going all over TikTok, and everybody's talking about this. That to me looks like it broke through something, and this is being claimed to be near or above the mall. But what ends up happening on a regular basis is what they do is they'll take old footage or footage from across the country, and then they'll put it out at that very time. It is a trick that I see creators do to just try to jump on a bandwagon, put out something, and most times absolutely it's from 4 or 5 years ago, out of people's memories, and people might have even seen it, but they forget about it. But I have never seen this one before, so I don't know. And I'm not confirming nor denying that this is something that happened or not above it. But we, of course, had to show you because everybody wanted an update on this, and I'm just really surprised. And then what really just kind of cemented it that this was not real is this. I mean, the aliens clearly are not a threat. That you could see them clearly waiting at the mall, and obviously they're getting picked up by an Uber or something. So even if these are real aliens, which it looks like they may be, they're clearly not here to hurt anyone. This gentleman was within feet of this very, very real alien. So I don't know. You guys can be the judge for yourself. Honestly, I think that I think this one should be put to bed. But that's just my opinion. Dex, what did you think about the whole thing? As far as
on the image they were claiming as UFOs, that there was a launch out of Cape Canaveral. I don't know if you probably could see it down in southern Florida there. You definitely could see it further up, but nonetheless, there was one on the 3rd. So, that very well could align with it. Not that was the day before, because this happened, I believe, on the 1st or the 2nd. So, but still, it's close enough that they could have easily turned this around and said that's what that was. Because there's no evidence to what it was, when it was, or anything like that.
Old Sport says we need some of that mall security. Might have been EpiPen and Slick Willie. They're doing this so you won't know if it's real or not when it really does happen. Well, here's the thing. If you don't think that the triple letter agencies do UFO stuff to take your mind off of other things, and remember, they control bits of social media, they control bits of all over the place. Think about the day that the president's son had his trial, and they just happened to pick that day to release all of the UFO whistleblower stuff. I mean, if that's not obvious to people, then I don't know what is. And then, of course, they took prior knowledge the next time it was something else. They put out information that was already out. They just essentially repeated it again, but this time in a very official setting in front of senators, and then the senators do their part and do their really slick acting, and they go, "Are you saying that we have craft? No way. Oh my gosh. So wait, what you're saying is that we have found craft." Which, by the way, I'm not making fun of anybody that believes we have craft, because we very well probably do. We probably have all sorts of stuff that is totally secret. But them putting it out in public, have they really disclosed anything yet? No, they have not. And if they did have something, you would think if they really wanted a good distraction, they had plenty of events over the last few years where they really could have, pulled out all stops on it. Melanie White, thank you for gifting up 5 memberships. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you guys supporting. It looks like we have 2.9K in the chat. Thank you, everybody that made it. And then over on D-Live, thank you, and everybody over on Rumble, thank you. And then Sparky's Run, again, thank you for joining. Let's see here. And then Jake Malone, Wing It with Ethan. Let's do a quick roll call, and of course, just a general state, and you can find other Foogle fam members and find something in common right away. NJM, thank you. Chewbacca 2020, nice to see you. Gunslinger. Ilea, nice to see you. Hope Brandon is doing better. Sorry about that. And then Richard Koschmeider, Lady Yell, Poco Loco. We've got Skyhouse. Richard, thank you for being here. Melanie White, Comet Moon from OHIO. And then Beth, hey, nice to see you. Deborah Lanning, Taryn N from NYC. We've got Iowa representing. We've got Casa Grande, Arizona. In the House, we've got Poco Loco. What is going on? Matthew Shaw from Missouri. We have Captain Phil Olympia. What is happening? Local. And then DFW, Texas, North Dakota. We've got London, England, the major, of course. And then let's see here. We've got Ocean Shores, Washington, Rebecca Rose. Rebecca, I hope you watched some of my videos on Cascadia Subduction Zone. You are in, you know what place you are living in. I'm hoping that you know about Cascadia Subduction Zone. All right. And let's see here. Let's go back over to the news. And then, so before we get off the subject of the UFOs, EpiPen, all the files are coming out. And of course, we get news of a secret UFO meeting. Dex, do you want to talk about the secret UFO meeting that they're doing?
So this is going to take place in the heart of the U.S. government next week, raising questions about what intelligence officials are keeping from the public. Basically, members of the House Oversight Committee will be given a classified briefing on unidentified anomalous phenomenon, UAP. That's the word they like to use instead of saying UFOs or calling them aliens, because I guess it can mean a lot of other things as well. But this is secret. They're not telling us what's going on. We've heard of all of these other meetings and testimony and experts that have come in and said they've been part of certain projects or they've seen certain things. All of that information has been brought to the forefront in Congress, and now there's something going on in secret. Now, I don't know if it's something like Blue and the Beam project that they talk about possibly coming out, if this is some form of, disclosure, as many call it, or if it's just some form of distraction because of everything else that's going on right now. And they don't want us to pay attention to either the conflicts that are brewing, the corruption that is flowing, or the crimes that have been committed.
Yeah, by the many people at the very, very top that are on many of the lists that are coming out right now. And speaking of which, Jeffrey EpiPen and his fixers burglarized hours before document dump. So Michael Sitrick, renowned Hollywood crisis manager, says that the New Year's Day break-ins at his Brentwood offices where thieves stole computer servers has to be a coincidence. I'm sure he's being sarcastic here. You know what's crazy? If this is a Hollywood fixer that has dealt with EpiPen and probably some of his friends, can you imagine what may come out soon? It seems like this is a setup for something even worse to come out. What could be on that man's computer if he is a fixer for people like EpiPen? That's the crazy part about this. Michael Sitrick said his penthouse offices at blah, blah, blah Boulevard, along with other occupants of the 4-story building in Brentwood that bears his company's name, Sitrick and Company, was broken into by unknown thieves, just as exclusive new documents about EpiPen's proclivities with, of course, the wee ones were made public. It didn't cross my mind, Sitrick told Los Angeles Magazine over the phone Thursday when asked if he was concerned about the timing of the burglary, just hours before a years-long records fight ended with the judge ordering the release of roughly 900 pages of documents from the 2015 federal civil case, Geoffrey v. Maxwell. I want to point out again, this is a years-long thing, even before all of the stuff where he passed, a civil case was out. Why did it all of a sudden get released? Like, are people really just not catching on? Even that may be the distraction. They're releasing that now. What is on the back page? That's what I want to know. Some believe that this is the distraction away from the UFOs. Either way, something is going on right now. I believe it very well could be to keep people's minds off of World War III, but who knows? What do you think it is? Let me know in the chat below. And again, appreciate everybody that is sharing out this live right now. Thank you guys. So, yeah. And then King Charles under huge pressure to punish brother Prince Andrew after he is named 69 times. What a coincidence in damning EpiPen docs. Prince Andrew, of course, everybody knows that he was all closely related and that he was accused of being a part of this whole thing, but he was named 69 times in this thing. Basically, he's probably in Mexico with Billy and Hilly, and they're all sitting there like, cringing every time their name is mentioned, and I bet he's cringing the most. Maybe they made it a drinking game. I don't know. But it says that King Charles is under pressure to punish Prince Andrew and, quote, lance the boil after more lurid allegations of SA were branded the final nail in the coffin. Andrew is mentioned 69 times in the new court papers, naming associates of late sex offender Jeffrey EpiPen. Absolutely nuts. And we're going to go over Jimmy Kimmel's involvement in this. This is getting just absolutely ridiculous. But before I do, make sure to go over and check out marfooglenews.com/prep. If you don't have any extra food around, this is a great way to get 25-year shelf life food that will stay good and is inflation safe. Something like this is not going to go up in price. It is something better to get yesterday rather than tomorrow. Freeze-dried food is, again, one of the best ways to preserve food, and this is all packaged, pre-done, so all you have to do when it comes to an emergency or even just when hyperinflation hits or any kind of disaster is add water or cook in water, and you have yourself a meal. It's a really, really affordable way to get a whole lot of food at once. In fact, most of the big, huge sales are on getting bulk of a month supply or more. The 3-month supply is way cheaper than you would think. In most cases, you'll get either 25% off or about $200 off on those plans. Depends on when you watch this video. You'll always get a huge discount with marfooglenews.com/prep. Again, it's better to do yesterday than tomorrow because this has actually tripled in price in the last 3 years as far as freeze-dried food goes. And then let's see here, Jimmy Kimmel. So if you haven't followed this, and over the last week, it's gone, there's actually stuff that is brand new today. Over the last 3 days, this whole thing has gone back and forth. Jimmy Kimmel, which I don't really ever hear anybody like saying, hey, you got to watch Jimmy Kimmel's show last night. It was awesome. I just don't see that. I don't know if I've ever seen that, to be honest, but they say that they say that he might have some sort of, and I shouldn't say they. Aaron Rodgers has accused him and said that he may be in some of these lists, right? Well, he says, dear a-hole, for the record, I've not met, flown with, visited, or had any contact whatsoever with EpiPen, nor will you find my name on any, quote, list, other than the clearly phony nonsense that soft-brain wackos like yourself can't seem to distinguish from reality. Your reckless words put my family in danger. Keep it up and we will debate the facts further in court. And that was a response to, of course, Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback, who essentially in video said that he had, that he would bet that he was on one of those lists or that his name would be brought up. So now it's gone even further. Now they're threatening court. They're threatening to sue each other. They're, saying defamation. They're saying every other word in the book. I think it's funny that this is the only time I've heard of Jimmy Kimmel in the last 5 years. Dex, did you notice that? Like, I don't think I've actually heard Jimmy Kimmel's name except for this. At
Yeah,
all.
not since he was like making fun of the former president. I think he lost a lot of relevancy since then. But Rogers, has a pretty decent following. Obviously, a famous football player, but in the community, the online community has a huge following, and did say that he did say, "quote There's a lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, and again, this is Rogers' quote, that are hoping that doesn't come out." He's referring to that list. So that's the exact thing he said that Kimmel is responding to, and now threatening, I guess, to now sue him over if he keeps it up, because apparently Kimmel's adamant that he's not on that list, and Rogers seemed to think he was. So who knows who's right? Who knows who's wrong? But it's interesting to watch these two go at it.
Who knows? Maybe Aaron Rodgers knows something that they don't. Maybe not everybody was on that list. Maybe, I don't know though. Because I don't think. Do you think that all of these people knew they were on some sort of list, like they were keeping track? I understand that they probably understood they were in a contact book, but all of the other stuff that they said was going on, they probably didn't know. And then, sort of, somewhat in the same realm, of course, Mel Gibson, who has been in recent stuff because of all of the stuff going on with Sound of Freedom, which was a box office smash, regardless of how much they tried to say it was this or that. It actually did really well. It's actually done well on line before now. I guess it's free on Prime. But Mel Gibson ended up being, producing that movie. Well, another movie that he had a big piece in was, what was that? Padre? What movie was the Shia
I think it was
LaBeouf?
Padre Pio. Padre Pio, I believe.
Padre Pio. So I haven't seen that yet, but apparently Shia LaBeouf said that Mel Gibson took him under his wing, and now Shia LaBeouf is confirmed into the Catholic Church, which is not an easy task. I mean, I guess it's very possible for anybody to do it, but it actually takes, if you do it the right way, it takes some time, and considers becoming a deacon. I'm sure people are going to debate like whether he's doing this to kind of fix some of the bad boy reputation, but why would you fix your bad boy reputation or try to, come back as something else and then do it with somebody who is now jaded and half canceled? Or is he just going to switch? Because Shia LaBeouf, I don't know if you followed him, but I have followed him because there's a lot of interesting stuff. The kid was confused as hell in his 20s. First of all, if you've seen some of the clips of him drunk or getting arrested, he's definitely got problems. And I'm not talking trash about the guy because I can absolutely see from having family members and having a family and, my mom and grandma and grandpa and a lot of alcoholism in the family. It's like I understand part of his brain, I think, better than a lot of people that wouldn't have that in their family. The fact that he was doing all this crazy stuff. As far as the political stuff, a lot of people don't even know he did all sorts of weird political edgy stuff. He did these weird art shows. I think one of them, he was like in a cage, half naked, just all sorts of just weird stuff. And the kid was, up until the point where he just started going weird, which probably was due to drugs and alcohol, he was at the top of the world. He was in, massive, massive movies, from Eagle Eye to Indiana Jones to Transformers franchise to all of these big, blockbuster movies. Not to mention the list of, kid roles that he got. And it's like he just kind of went off the deep end. So is he coming back from that? Maybe he's actually found God. I don't know, but I think it's interesting that he says that Mel Gibson is actually the one who kind of saved him and taught him, some common sense. At the same time, he's been very kind of left leaning to the point where he's done like crazy political stunts. Like, Dex, isn't it Shia LaBeouf that did the thing with the Trump flag or something? Like, he put up a flag saying that T-Man would never be the president again or something like that. I'm trying to remember what that was.
Didn't he like camp out on a street corner or something forever and, had a phone or something hanging? I don't know. He did like some really weird art and stuff like that. It was kind of crazy. A lot of people thought it was a mental breakdown.
Oh, "He will not divide us" flag in a field in Greenville. And you know what's the craziest part about that? And this was the funny part about that is Redditors or people on forums and on social media, they were able to take the wind patterns and how the flag was flapping. They took like the type of trees that were there. They were able to pinpoint that flag and take it down just based on like the wind and the weather. It's actually a crazy story. Go look it up. But I thought it was really interesting, and who knows, maybe we'll be seeing headlines of Shia LaBeouf actually turning his life around. So just to throw it out there, I'm praying for him, and I hope he does turn around his life. And then we have some crazy vids here. So we're going to go over this is just cool. So before we get into we're actually going to go over some heavier stuff. We're going to talk about Russia. Again, we have a lot more on the docket. We're going to talk about the FEMA insider, talking about emergency and quick training. But first, this was a hypersonic test that traveled Mach 8.6. Now, it's kind of confusing how many different years they've done this, but this was a video that was just put on Twitter. We did find one that was 2019, so we don't know which one is which, but we just thought it was crazy. So this is a land test going 6,500 miles per hour. Is that not nuts? And then, so this is a supposed, that's half speed. I still don't think you're going to see it. That is so nuts. If you look right there. Even at half speed freeze frame, you cannot see it. And of course, a human being could not be in that. That's from Historic Vids. Tweet there. This is from Deep Eyes on Twitter, Maria Alta F80. This is another one. Very, very crazy. Check this out. Sonic boom on that is nuts.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, fire.
What I think is so cool about that is you don't hear it until, I mean, it looks like what's seconds later. It's like 2 seconds later.
2, 1, 0, fire.
Humans are cool. And then this is a picture of what it actually looks like. This is U.S. Army. What the heck are they going to use this for, right? It's pretty trippy. Even the train track, this is pretty fascinating. If you look at it's on a single track. Even the track part that connects to it is aerodynamic. And it looks like it has flaps to actually hold it down. But this is the rocket strapped onto it. So we've attached this over on the website. You can go check this out. And then, so this is the 6,500 mile an hour sled. And this is nuts. So this is Chiapas, Mexico. And this is what is coming towards the United States right now. Myra Flores Vallejo says, shared this. And Elon says the public should be made aware of this. The largest migrant caravan of 2023, known as Poverty Exodus, has recently departed from southern Mexico, comprising about 15,000 individuals from 24 countries are en route to the U.S. border. It says, yet rats are focused on cooking pictures I posted that reminded me of my upbringings. I can't with so much pettiness. So check that out. Here, let's mute that. Is that just insane? Look at how many people. I mean, that is just really something. So that is happening right now as we speak. So, and this is 15,000. I just want to point out we covered a story, and this isn't to be political either. This is factual. In that mix, there are going to be either dozens, hundreds, or possibly thousands mixed in that are not good people. There are plenty of really great refugees looking for a better life. I know that for a fact. But as far as what is going on right now across the planet, I wonder how many of those are from our adversarial countries and how many of them are going to be causing trouble. And this is what we mean by go ahead, Dex.
Quick comment. If you zoom in on that video, do you see a lot of women and children, or is it just me? It looks like it's mostly men, although it's kind of hard to tell because it is a little grainy. And I'll remind you, we also reported back in December that they had one of the highest days ever reported, which was probably happening every day. They just don't report every day. That this amount of people, 15,000, came across that they actually intercepted. We don't know how many they didn't intercept. So it's a lot.
I don't know. This looks like it's more than 15,000, but maybe that's a rough estimate. I don't
but do you see
any
families?
women. I don't see any children. I don't see any women. In one day, there was, like you said, 14-something thousand in one day. If this happens every day and it just continues, I mean, where do people think that goes? A country's not set up to take that many people in, especially long term, if they just keep going and going and going. And this is what happens if you commit a crime in Japan. Now, when we said wedgie, we meant it. This is nuts. So this is a gentleman being dragged by his underwear, a thief, and it says, why is Japan's crime rate so low? And he's not only is he grabbing by his pants, he's grabbing by his underwear. And then check this out. The cop doesn't say, what are you doing? The cop grabs him by his underwear. And then stands him up like a child. It's like, and look at the stats for Japan. It is insane. They have one, but you think about what happens here in the U.S. and it's insane. Like, people walk out with full carts of stuff. Well, you spend your hard-earned money. People are just walking out with carts of stuff. Then the police go, hey, put that back. And if the police don't catch them, either way, they go, okay, put it back. And then they just let them walk away. They come back half an hour later and they do the same thing. Now they're trying to get people on RICO stuff. They are actually arresting some people, but it's like, it was such a joke during CV for like 2.5 years. They looked at it as, oh, they're just trying to get bread for their families. Yeah, bread, lots of bread, thousands of dollars in bread from, a whole shopping cart full of bread Legos or bread electronics. Like, it's so stupid. And then that bread turned into injectables. Pretty stupid, but again, thought that this was pretty funny, and I thought you guys would like that. And then LOD Will, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, Sparky's Run, again. Thank you. Thank you over on D Live, you guys, everybody that just joined. And thank you, Kimbria. Thank you, Johnson, for the diamonds. Thank you. I appreciate that. Beer Juice, Sybin. We've got Bad Allergies. We have Sky House. Kimbria, One Aunt B, Priscilla R, and my Leos 62. Thank you for following, and thank you for subscribing over there. And then Dex, do you want to talk about ancient atomic bombs? This is really nuts.
So this is an interesting article published on Ancient Origins, but a lot of people have discussed this, and not everybody really understands it. But it talks specifically about some of the glass that's been found in other places, and we'll show you evidence of that on Wikipedia in just a moment. But just to give you the background here, it says 7 years after the nuclear test in Alamogordo, New Mexico, talking specifically about Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, was lecturing at a college when students asked if it was the first atomic bomb test ever conducted, and he says yes, in modern times. In modern times. That's the interesting thing. The sentence, enigmatic and incomprehensible at the time, was actually an allusion to ancient Hindu texts that describe an apocalyptic catastrophe that doesn't correlate with volcanic eruptions or other known phenomenon. Oppenheimer, who avidly studied ancient Sanskrit, was undoubtedly referring to a passage in the Bhagavad Gita that describes a global disaster caused by an unknown weapon array of iron. While it may be alarming to the scientific community to speak of the existence of atomic weapons before the present cycle of civilization, evidence of this phenomenon seems to whisper its verses in every corner of the planet. Then they go on to describe something called desert glass. The evidence comes not only from the Hindu verse, but also from ample extensions of fused glass fragments scattered throughout many deserts in the world. Silicone crystals, curiously cast, resemble remarkably the same fragments found after the nuclear explosions in the Alamogordo White Sands Atomic Testing Range. So now, if you look here on the Wikipedia article, I just want to point out, in addition to that article that was written by that one website specifically talking about this in depth, that it does, quite frankly, does acknowledge that some geologists associate the glass with radiative melting from meteoritic large aerial bursts, making it analogous to tranite, which is created from sand exposed to the thermal radiation of a nuclear explosion. It's a very interesting rabbit hole, if you want to call it that. It's a very interesting unexplored part of our history that, we don't really understand what possibly happened back then. And were there nuclear explosions before? Were there wars on our planet before? Did things happen that reset, or it was just some sort of natural phenomenon that we just can't explain yet that caused this to happen all around the world? But it's very fascinating. I don't know if everybody knows about it. It's certainly not a new topic. But at the same time, it's one that's worth bringing up and talking
Well,
about.
here's the thing. It's like, when there's a huge group of people that have looked back and they believe that, this has all happened before, that it's been in some sort of loop. Even I've met Christians that believe God has created us several times. Some believe that this actually could be evidence. This could fit into the whole thing. Recently, we covered a story where the place where modern day Sodom and Gomorrah would be, where they found an actual layer of salt. And that salt, what scientists explained it away is that an ancient asteroid hit, or not even an ancient, but back in the days of the Bible, an asteroid hit and turned everybody to salt, or turned the ground. It hit and it flashed and it created salt. So there is an actual layer of salt where Sodom and Gomorrah is. And of course, the Bible, it says that they turned around and they were all turned to a pillar of salt. The scientists say that was explained, that's why they said that. They felt like it was from God. Either way, it sort of confirms, one more story in the Bible. The floods. If you look at almost every holy script, there's been this massive, massive flood. In the case of the parting of the Red Sea, we just covered a story that actually confirms that it's possible. Scientists actually figured out a way that it could have happened, that the Red Sea could have parted. Dex, do you remember that? It was like some sort of, what do you call it?
They had 3 or 4 explanations for natural phenomenon, or changes or things that could have happened even from space that could have caused that sea to part at that time, as it's been described in the Bible. Nonetheless, I sort of go back to say, well, it just explains how God did it when Moses asked him to. But that's just my opinion.
Well, it is really, really cool to think about it. Oh, and then, the story where at the bottom of the Red Sea, they found coral that was in the shape of a wagon wheel. And it was so exact, it was hard to say that it was natural. It was symmetrical. It was in the shape of an actual wagon wheel. And what some theorized was that the wagon wheel was down at the bottom of the ocean after the Red Sea collapsed in on the soldiers, and that the wagon wheel was there so long that the coral grew around it and created this huge structure over however many thousands of years. So there's been a lot of trippy things as far as, with going down this route. It's kind of nuts, because if you think about if there was a prior civilization that had technology like, electricity or nuclear weapons or something like that, it's pretty nuts to even think that way. Sharon Davis, our government is evil and full of, quote, fill in the rest. Yeah, You could say the least. Sharon Davis, thank you for your support. I appreciate that. And psilocybin, thank you for subscribing. Also, a couple new one. Renee Vincent, thank you for subscribing. As always, if you subscribe during the show, I love to shout you guys out. Thank you so much. Stephen McMahon, I think I missed you the last one out. It says, thanks to our great mods. Stay salty, everybody. Love y'all. Thank you. And there was a super thanks yesterday, which I didn't get to, or I think it was last night's show. So maybe I'm not late on that. Let's see. S. Nort 5203 says, both of you are so insightful. I enjoy your show almost every night. Just don't like to type on chat because I'm too slow. That no worries, and especially when it's on when the chat goes by so fast. You know what gets me is when you're in a chat, or no, when you text somebody and they're super, super fast and you're super slow. By the time you've typed up a response, they have then sent 3 other things back to you, and now your original response, which you've slowly typed up, makes absolutely no sense to the new thing that they're actually talking about. That's what I run into. I'm a slow typer too, so I feel you, S. Nort, and I appreciate you.
You talking about me?
Yep. What are you talking about? I'm the slow one. You're much faster than I am. But I think we're both so slow that it never affects us. But yeah, I hate that. And then let's see here. We're gonna go over the insider information from Foogle Fam. And this is a little alarming. So if you're highly anxious, I would probably tune out at this point. I'd probably go. We're going to talk about some pretty heavy subjects. But before we do, I do want to remind you guys, make sure to go and check out Harvest Right. This is our recommendation if you want to get into freeze drying your own food. You can, of course, go through something like My Patriot Supply or marfooglenews.com/prep for the pre-made stuff. But if you want to do it on your own, it is much, much more affordable. Now, it is not cheap in the beginning because you have to actually buy the machine. But once you buy the machine, you have yourself the ability to do it yourself. So this is a really, really, really awesome hobby for some. Otherwise, it is a matter of survival for others. So make sure to go check it out. Go to marfooglenews.com/freeze. You'll get $300 off on the Pro model. And again, there's all different sizes. It is an investment in the beginning, but then you can actually pick the food you want to freeze dry. You can then freeze dry it, put it in Mylar bags, do the whole 9 yards, and save food for up to 25 years on your own. You can do dietary restrictions. You can freeze dry things that, hey, instead of throwing them out, freeze dry them and make them last. If you have a garden, it's a great way to preserve your garden. It's something that is much, much more viable for bigger families. If you have a big family and you want to have at least 3, 6, 9 months of food on hand, then yeah, if you start looking into buying pre-packaged freeze-dried food, you'll go, yeah, this is cheap compared to that. Go to marfooglenews.com/freeze. They say it's about a quarter or 30% of the price of buying pre-packaged foods when you do it this way. So it depends if the math works out for you. If you're, on your own and you already have a bunch of food, then probably not. But if you have a family of 4 or 5 and you need to have 3 to 6 months worth of food, then yeah, this is going to pay itself off. marfooglenews.com/freeze. And again, you can also enter to win there at the same site. So make sure to go check it out. It helps support us, and it, of course, gets you prepared as well. These are big machines. The small one, I believe, is back in stock, but make sure to check as of watching this video right now. Let's see here. And then, shoot, Dex, I might need the DM. So I think something happened here. So let me make sure that
I'll get you another link.
I can't just refresh. Yeah, it is Air 401. So we're going to show you, this is from Foogle family member that is in infrastructure, and we've made sure to redact anything that is going to get them in trouble. They did offer to actually confirm everything too, so we know that this is legit. So
it's in there.
let me just check too. I wanted to just make sure there's one other thing that we may be able to say if the person has responded. Otherwise, we can still share, but wanted to make sure that there was something there. So as far as, and it doesn't look so, but there is something here. So hold on. Okay, is a screener?
Yes,
Okay, perfect.
at the bottom of the last one.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. See here. So, and this matches up perfectly with what other Fugel family members were saying. Obviously, we got a lot of crazy events. We've got North Korea, South Korea, all sorts of stuff. And we've left out certain things, but we'll show you what this means and what exactly they are saying. Adam, I am a supervisor for blank municipality's water and sewer company. Every supervisor had to take these FEMA classes this week. It was a rush thing. It seemed like here are the certificates. I now have the IS 100, IS 200, IS 700, IS 800, IS 2900, and IS 19.23. Photos of certs can be sent to proof if you would like. Being notified on Tuesday to have all of those finished by the time you leave on Friday was not normal. Another supervisor said to get it done next week since he was off today, Friday. He was told that we are all salary and have to do it and had done it be left behind. We all said, what the F, and did the work. Any advice on what is going on or what we would be called to do with these? More than what you cover on your show. It says, thank you for taking time to read this. Send one to Dex 2. Keep up the great work. Now, we went and checked what all of these mean. So the IS 200. Dex, do you want to go over the IS 200 and what this means?
Yeah, and the IS 100, just for what it's worth, is more of a blanket area for the rest of these. So the IS 200 is a basic incident command system for initial responses. So this is learning how to use this command system from FEMA. So that's the IS 200 certificate. And the IS 700 certificate is an introduction to the national incident management system. So these people in the municipal water systems are now making sure that they're introduced and set up into the national incident management system. Then the IS 800, which is a national response framework. So an introduction and providing an integration with the national response framework on those delivering and applying the resources and core capabilities, blah, 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 for government officials, community leaders, emergency management practitioners, first responders, and apparently now water management. Then if you look as it grows from there, they did the IS 2900.A, which is National Disaster Recovery Framework. So the one prior was response. This is recovery. So keep in mind, these are for recovering from a disaster event, protect, mitigate, prevent, respond to all of those different actions and activities. But this is all now being integrated, and they are being certified with the FEMA systems.
And this matches up with what other Fugel family members said over the last couple months. Some were in totally different fields and all of a sudden had to get this done. This was sent back in December, so I got this really late. I'm always behind on my messages because I get too many. Not too many, but I get so many, I can't possibly read them all myself. But as far as I finally got this one, and this matched up exactly with what another Fugel family member said 3 weeks ago. Now, what this is also going along with is military members saying, as far as in the next 2 months, there's all of these certs that they have to do. On top of this, what our banking friend ended up telling us about from here, more like last month to March, there is a huge threat that they are worried about with the banking systems and their computer systems and hardware. So this also works alongside with the presidential alert, with all of these other things that go along with a national incident like this. They are trying to get this done across the board all over the place. Why is it being hurried? Why are all of these places being told that they need to do it ASAP? You could say that maybe all of these places are just really behind and they need to get caught up, but they're being told about it and then saying, "Hey, you've got to have these done by the time you leave this week." That kind of thing is across the board. Why is this being done so fast? It makes it look like they are preparing for something that maybe they know about, but we don't. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat below. And have you experienced something? Don't be specific, but if you have similar things like this going on at work, let us know. Put a comment down. Always be mindful that you don't want to ever put, personal information out to the whole internet. But if it's a generic thing like, hey, this is happening at my work and something like that, please let us know. Let's see here. Linda, hope I do see my chat. FEMA and 15,000 immigrants. Yeah. Dex, go ahead.
I just wanted to call attention to that hack in Pennsylvania that hit 2 different water treatment plants, which I think they told us was from Iranian hackers, but that's sort of a potential setup, at least in our mind, to expect to see something in the water system, because they said, hey, by the way, this is affecting all water systems out there. And there was a mad rush on the IT side to get all those passwords fixed. But we don't know if they actually did.
Yeah.
So that's something else to keep in mind as it relates to why are they rushing in now to, create this type of training and integrate these types of municipal systems into the FEMA recovery and response framework.
And yes, Rumble is free. It doesn't cost a thing. It's all of them are. Let's see. And so short bus to answer that question. Thank you, Ilea, for helping out on that as well. Jake Malone. Rip, hey, thanks for being on almost every show, Rip. I appreciate you. Of course, everybody that has made it. I also saw, unfortunately, Trinity was live. So if you haven't already, make sure when you get done with our show, make sure to go check out. She did a new video I saw was live, unfortunately, at the same time. So go over there after you're done here and check out whatever. I believe she thinks the alien stuff is a distraction too. Standard training in industrial gas oil, wastewater treatment. Let's see here. Billy Jack's Wild America, Michigan Lifestyle. Thank you for letting us know. And then manual work for waterworks. So what's not standard is in other. So I wish we could share this one from somebody who works in emergency management. We're waiting to hear back on that. So I will hopefully get word back from them. There is another Foogle fan member who absolutely confirmed that something is going on. And if we can share that, it will blow your socks off. Unfortunately, we do not have permission to share that yet. So that is really something that I think that everybody, but I will tell you, so you know, it is in the same vein as people need to be prepared for cyber events. People need to be prepared for possible grid down events. People need to be prepared for banking issues. These are 3 things that are incredibly high up on the list of what the U.S. government is almost predicting, almost saying that is going to happen. They are at least telling banking industries that they need to be ready for something like that. They are telling emergency management that they need to be prepared for something like that. So just so you know, even without us, if we were able to share it, then that would only further just confirm what I just said. So without being able to share it, I would say that you still get the same message. You should look at that. Speaking of which, Sandworm's Kyivstar attack should serve as a reminder of the Kremlin crew's global reach. So Russia's Sandworm crew, the main point out of this is that they appear to have been responsible for knocking out mobile and internet services to about 24 million users in Ukraine last month with an attack on telco giant Kyivstar. Now, I want to point out the mobile provider that provides 40% of all of Australia's communications went down just a few weeks ago. You also had Canada just last night or the night before have a massive outage. Everything spiked. Communications all over the place just poof went down for a short amount of time. So I'm not saying that was this group, but there's groups all over the world that are targeting U.S. and our allies. Not to mention, there's been cyber attacks, which we just put out on Marfoogle News. If you haven't checked out our other channel, there are cyber attacks on every one of our allies, and especially a lot since September of last year. So in the last 4 months. So this is also something to pay attention to. Dex, when they say that they knocked out mobile networks, so they knocked out cell phone and internet and things like this.
Yeah, by attacking a single telco provider, a giant telco provider. Look, here's the key thing, and this is what I've been saying for a long time. In this report, they say the criminals lurked in the telco systems for at least 6 months leading up to the attack. Then they wiped out almost everything. So they were waiting. They got in and they were waiting. And I can promise you, those that are going to do that to our infrastructure systems, whether it be our telecommunications, our power structure systems, any of our other pipelines, water infrastructure, any of those things, they are already there. That is the point. That is what they strive to do, is to get in unnoticed and then lie dormant. Lie dormant until they need to use it, until they're ready to strike. And in this case, war was already happening. So they were ready. They knew it. They had it in there. They had it in place. And when they needed to execute it, they pulled the trigger, so to speak, and they brought the systems down. That's what will happen in a cyber event, in any type of cyber war scenario. It's not just a random, oh, we just got in at the last second and we're going to take it all down, or we know we can get in there and break through the walls next week. They're sitting there, and they've been sitting there. They've been sitting there multiple ways. And that's why a lot of our IT groups, or a lot of our cyber security experts, they spend their time trying to find those. And they're very hard to find because they're hiding in a dormant location, so to speak. They're really invisible. And they may have utilized an open door that was there 2 years ago. And by coming in that back door, if you want to call it that, then they could have set up new back doors that aren't visible. Even if the first back door gets closed, they have created additional ones over time. So it's a very, very tricky situation. It's a very it's very difficult to say that, oh, don't worry, we're protected, because we're not. No one is.
And this fits perfectly, Dex, into personal friend of mine, banking industry, used to own a credit card processing company, now is very high up in a banking industry, says that they have now warned them to have, they have to hire and pay for it themselves for an extreme amount of testing of their own hardware. They're looking for problems in the hardware. They are saying that they need to hire people to try to test their systems to see what weaknesses they have, because they believe between last month and March that there is a high risk of an event happening. This was all in the same week. And we told you that a day. Dex, do you remember that? The next day, an official notice came out saying that there was a huge risk to actual hardware, and there was actual documents that came out. So we got about a day heads up on that to mainstream media, even the government Pentagon docs that came out. So we got a day ahead of everybody on that. But it's something that common sense should tell you with all of this stuff coming out. As far as the stuff going on. So think about that. Solar winds that happened 2-3 years ago, they could be sitting there just waiting for this to happen. And like they said, this happened 6 months, upwards of 6 months or more, longer before this even attack happened. That's when they got in. Then they were just lying dormant, waiting for the right time. This could be across the board here in the United States and all of our other allies. We just covered about 3 weeks ago that China hacked into our water infrastructure. And then we're getting, around the same time, we're getting people in water infrastructure getting emergency training for a national incident. Think about that. Think about what happened a month ago in December when that message came out. that China hacked our water infrastructure and our critical infrastructure, our power grid, all of these things. Did they put some backdoor in and now they are expecting this? And now they could be testing it on other countries. They could be testing it on Kiev. This was there for 6 months. Why did they decide to pull the trigger now? This is why people should get prepped. If you do it responsibly, it won't hurt you in the now, and it will only help you. Having extra food and water is like having car insurance for your car or house insurance or fire insurance. It's like you don't get you don't get car insurance because you think you don't get car insurance because you know you will crash. You get car insurance because you believe you may. Same with, you don't get phone insurance because you know you're going to break your phone. You think because I might drop it, right? Well, same with food. Something may happen. During CV, we went to the shelves and all of them were empty. You couldn't get toilet paper, which is the stupidest thing ever in retrospect, but you couldn't get that. The Foogle fam, because of our warnings about that, when all of these different documents said, we think there's going to be a pandemic, when we warned people about that, they prepped. And when that happened, they were sitting pretty. They weren't freaking out like everybody else sitting in 4 or 5 hour lines at Costco. And why they need a constitution? Well, that's a big question. We shouldn't need one, right? But I guess maybe we do. Google wrote a robot constitution to make sure its new AI droids won't kill us. Dex, do you want to go over this?
Well, I mean, look, the fact that we have to have this should be scary enough by itself. But the fact that they created it also is a little reassuring, I'd like to think, but I don't know if I even trust that. But technically, what they've done, the DeepMind's robotic team has revealed 3 new advances that say it will help robots make faster, better, and safer decisions in the wild. One includes a system for gathering training data with a quote unquote robot constitution to make sure that your robot office assistant can fetch you more printer paper without mowing down a human coworker who happens to be in the way. In other words, they're supposed to have programming in them that protects human life. I don't know how they're going to do that in around every possible scenario. It's kind of,
Don't miss this.
But the fact that they have to do this is what's really scary. And they're saying they are doing it correctly, but is the next guy, is the other person who's making robots, who's going to make sure that these things don't actually take, a mind of their own and hurt someone? Or maybe they don't have a mind of their own, but just their actions cause problems, like the self-driving cars that run over people, or the robot in a Tesla factory that grabs a worker and slings them around. I don't know if it did it intentionally as much as it may have just been an accidental or a mishap in the system. But nonetheless, we don't know. But we can certainly guarantee that as AI continues to be advanced and placed into these robotic systems and these autonomous systems, that they will be making more and more decisions more quickly. And we should be very concerned about the decisions it's making.
And do not miss this. It's a DeepMind program the robots to stop automatically if the force on its joints goes past a certain threshold, and included a physical kill switch human operators can use to deactivate them. I guess where are we at when, they have to have a physical kill switch? It is very smart to have that, but we've seen in all of the fictional movies that, they hit the physical kill switch and it doesn't do anything. The scariest part about this is some of the articles we've covered about AI and how how AI created themselves. What was that, Dex? They wanted to create AI that could create other AI. And then, of course, Google itself, wasn't it Google that had AI that actually started making its own language? Was that, or is that Facebook?
I think that was 2 AIs that were talking, 2 AI bots that were talking to one another, created their own language so nobody could understand them.
Yeah, I mean,
they certainly were using AI to create AI. And they were saying that AI creating more AI was a good thing because it could do sub AI routines a lot faster and create them. And that's even scarier.
It's terrifying. We talked about this too when there was a kid on TikTok that you probably have seen this if you watch TikTok. he was always trending before he got hired by the CIA. The kid, you could send a picture to this kid, and he's on YouTube Shorts too. But you could send a picture of you anywhere in the world, and he would be able to take things like we were talking about earlier with the Shia LaBeouf flag thing. He would be able to take the leaves or the type of trees that are around, or the type of soil that the person was standing on, or a tiny little mark on something, and he would be able to go back and find through different things online. He would be able to find where that picture was taken. Well, the CIA ended up hiring him. And I don't think it's because they're going to have this kid on the payroll for 50 years and that he's going to be the guy to go to. I think it's because they grab people like him for him to use their brain and their thought process to train an AI how to do that. So then the AI does that for them. And then if the AI learns that, then the AI can train other AIs to do that. That's the terrifying thing about this, is when we've gotten to the point where AI creates other AI. That is just, I don't see how people aren't afraid of this. It's just, I mean, it's really, really quite crazy. And then we have some breaking news here. Alaska Airlines forced to make an emergency landing after large aircraft window blows out mid-air. A forced emergency landing was made of Alaska Airlines Flight 1282 at Portland International Airport on Friday night. The flight traveling from Portland to Ontario, California, faced severe depressurization, causing the ejection of a large window section and an unoccupied seat. This incident resulted in a child's shirt being ripped off. The Boeing 737-909 MAX aircraft reached a maximum altitude of 16,000 feet before safely returning to Portland International Airport. As of now, it remains unclear if anyone on board the flight was injured, as the story is still developing. So pretty crazy scene there. That is a hole. That is a hole in the side of the plane. What the hell is going on?
And I gave you one other tweet too that shows a close up of the hole.
It's just like, what in the world? Somebody was sitting there. If they were at 30,000 feet, I think that would have been way worse. Look at that. Can you imagine?
It said they were unoccupied, that seat, but the person next to it is the one I would be worried about. But yeah, if you were in that seat, Adam, and you didn't have your seatbelt on, I don't know, maybe if you did have your seatbelt on, you'd be gone. But this reminds me, do you guys remember the incident in the UK where the pilot's windshield came out and the pilot had literally just unbuckled and was doing something and it came loose and he got sucked out of the plane, yet he got caught with his legs in the dash,
he survived.
And then the whole crew had to hold him. And the co-pilot, who had never flown that plane, or I don't know if he never flown it, but he didn't have a lot of experience at it, had to sort of blindly land this plane with 400 mile per hour cold wind blasting through the window, his pilot dangling out the window, and land it safely, and he did. And many huge documentary stories about it, and the pilot actually survived.
So, I mean, how lucky is that guy? The thing opened up, the window opened up in the cockpit, and just his knee and down was inside, and all of the staff is holding on to him for dear life. And I mean, can you just imagine flapping there, going 500 miles per hour or however fast these damn things go in the air at 20,000 feet up in the sky? I mean, oh my gosh. That's like, that is utterly terrifying. But they said that the boy's shirt was ripped off. So like out of the movies where you see a hole in the plane and then everybody's just whoosh, sucked out. I wonder like if maybe were they experiencing, turbulence and they were all buckled in? What if people weren't buckled in? Would they have been sucked out? What is up with all of these crazy plane stories? it's not really a great time to fly, is it? And you wonder if any of them are due to hacking or parts being manufactured wrong on purpose, or you just don't know at this point. And I do want to say a big thank you again to Sharon Davis. Thank you so much. Thank you, Danish Girl, yesterday. Renee Alera, yesterday. Thank you so much. Stephen McMahon, Anthony Mack After Death, Troll Slayer, Merlin, Liz Potter, Ilea, thank you so much. Craig Lawnsinger, Carol, Ogle Tiran, both Carol and Carol White, Ross Adams, LOD Will, Quintress, and of course, Amanda Ruiz, Loaded Wrench 14, ACSW, Ripple Effect, and Wonderboy Robin. Thank you guys. And very much thank you to Be Real Beast, wherever you are. I appreciate you. And everyone over on D Live, thank you for making it to every show. Thank you, Chance, for holding it down. And we didn't show at the beginning. Hopefully you remember to go over to marfooglenews.com and go to marfooglenews.com/friends. Over there, you can find every single one of our mods, from Bones to Wages World and everyone in between, like Trinity, Red or Blue Pill, I mentioned earlier. You can get to her channel right there and go to the live stream she just did. You can go, of course, to Ilea's and check out all of her crazy, crazy, awesome animals. RGL Harris, Rip Curl Readiness, Lisa Hall, Jammer, Gem, CJ Blaze, and, of course, Chance Paladin and Bones. I heard Alish, too. Alish is not on the list because she's been stepped out for a while, but I heard that her prayers for her have been working. Again, I just want to remind you guys, thank you for the prayers for Alish, and I hope she is doing well still. Dex, thank you for your service today. And do you want to let people know how to get to the website?
Absolutely. And real quick, Kelly 2334, I don't know if you saw it over on D Live, just did a Ninjet.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. And Kelly, thank you for making it. And again, longtime Foogle fan members, thank you so much for continuing to support us, especially through all of the craziness that has been going on. We just can't say thank you enough, especially to all of the folks that do D Live every day. Thank you, Kelly 2334. I believe that is the one and only in 2024. So thank you, and thank you. Kelly, you are our top supporter today, so you know what that means. Thank you, guys. Dex, thank you. And we're actually going to be ending the show a little bit differently. There is a Foogle fan member and his wife that make really, really awesome family-friendly music, Ken Rod and Amber Ray. We're going to be playing their music video, which they submitted to Play My Video. And then we'll be doing a shoutro, where, again, this is not a shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's not a shoutro.
L-O-V-E. Yeah, fall in love with the king. Yeah, don't you see the Red Sea giving fish no life? That's a sign that you and I to realize you can't run from all of this mess, all of the sin in this world. Yeah, I created you like the moon in the sun. Yeah, I really love you. Yeah. Oh, I can't count how many days you saved my life. But I know each and every day your love won't fade away. You'll make everything right. I was down and out, nowhere to be found. My heart was in the wrong place. Then you came around, turned my life upside down, showed me what love is all about. You
how many days you saved my life.
But I know each and every day your love won't fade away. You make everything right. Jesus, you amaze us. Your love is so real, so real, so real. That's how I feel. Can't count how many days you saved my life. But I know each and every day your love won't fade away. You make everything right. Jesus.
That was Ken Rod and Amber Ray. They're a Christian couple singing, and they are in the Foogle fam. They have watched our show for a long time. And again, wanted to share, there's lots of talent in the Foogle fam. And if you have music that you would like us to play at the end of the show, let us know. Submit your music videos at marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo. Of course, it should be, obviously something that everybody can watch. If it's not, I will still consider it, and I might listen to it, but it may not end up on the show. So thank you guys. Much love. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It is now time for the shoutro. Shout out to Kenny Cams. By the way, if you formally submit one of your videos, we don't have permission. Otherwise, I would have played it back to back. Don't know if you're here tonight. All right, let's make a fresh one for Kelly2334. If you don't know what the heck is going on, this is just where I do my silly, horrible music for the top supporters of the night and just show my appreciation. But also, it's not just for supporters, it's for everybody in chat, just to say thank you to the people that matter most, you.